At the federal level, you have RFK Jr. enacting the MAHA agenda over at the HHS. Meanwhile, at the state level, states are actually doing the same thing by themselves. They're sort of taking this national wave and putting in real legislation to make it law in their state. Chris, along that line, you have 24 states moving to ban cloud seeding. How does that fit into the MAHA agenda?
Well, these states are trying to stop the government from controlling the weather. And, I personally am kind of unnerved when the government's controlling the time with daylight savings time. But the weather, I think, is a step too far. You mentioned earlier the chemtrails. This could be the reason behind why these states are going out there. There's a lot of articles. There was a CNN article that I just saw today. State lawmakers are looking to ban non-existent chemtrails. It could have real-life side effects. So there's this big debate about why these states are getting together and they're choosing to stop geoengineering. And RFK jumped in. He said in a tweet that, I like this one, 24 states moved to ban geoengineering our climate by dousing our citizens, our waterways, and landscapes with toxins. This is a movement every MAHA needs to support. HHS will do its part. So when he talks about dousing our citizens, our waterways, and our landscapes with toxins, it brings to mind, is he talking about, contrails, which are like, a plane flying and then there's like water vapor that comes out and people look at it and say they're dropping stuff on us? Or is he talking about like geoengineering where Bill Gates famously worked with Harvard and they were going to spray calcium into the clouds?
Oh, no, they did.
Change the weather.
They did.
That got scrapped last year. They never actually proceeded with that.
No, what do you mean? In San Francisco, off the San Francisco Bay, they ran a few experiments.
The project at Harvard got canceled last year.
Okay, maybe it was another project.
They conducted some other stuff.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the Bill Gates one.
In Mexico, and it got banned.
Yeah. But hearing all of this, the weather talk and the idea that there could be toxins being put into the atmosphere, reminded me of a clip right before the election. I want to play that first, and then I can jump back into the story. Go to that.
Now, we've known for decades our planet is warming, that we would start seeing the brutal effects. But conservatives remain so deep in their denial, they're flailing around for anyone or anything else to blame. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is now like a big mover and shaker in the Republican Party, is promoting a bizarre conspiracy theory about a mysterious they, you can imagine who that is, controlling the weather, suggesting that they are sending hurricanes to Republican areas to impact the election. Like someone is sitting at some computer somewhere pressing hurricane.
Yeah, I wonder who they is. But yeah, so there was a thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene basically saying that the hurricanes, remember those hurricanes that took place? So with Asheville and everything that got decimated, that it could have been through geoengineering. There is a body of people in this country that believe that the government is in control of the weather, or at least they're influencing it. And this relates back to a paper published in 1996. It talked about the military applications, government applications of using weather. It's called Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in, guess what year? 2025. So this paper, it said that we would be able to flood lines of communication, decrease comfort levels of our enemies, disrupt communications and radar, increase concealment, and do a plethora of other things, including near space involvement and impairing our enemies from up above in the ionosphere. So there's a lot of people who said, this is not just a paper that came out, this is an active plan. A lot of people have disagreed with that. The government itself had said, this isn't our policy, we don't actually do this. But there's been a number of scientists and other groups, like I mentioned Harvard and Bill Gates before, that have been trying to alter clouds. They've been trying to seed them with calcium and with these salts, like they do in Dubai, for example. We talked about that, Josh and I.
It's a very active program.
And effective, too. In the UAE, they have these planes that go up, they spray these salts on clouds, they kind of make them white. They get a little heavier and they begin to drop rain.
Well, yeah, that exists, right? I mean, there's companies that do that. But is there the technology that they were theorizing in 1991?
They don't have that. That's what people say. They don't have that.
Well, so the caveat here is they did actually do some military experiments early on in the United States. They scrapped them because while they were doing the experiments, shortly after, there was massive flooding nearby and actually killed a lot of people. and people blamed it on the the cloud seeding programs. There's a difference that needs to be made between solar geoengineering, which is a lot of the global warming stuff, where they want to create like artificial blankets of basically substances within the stratosphere, versus cloud seeding, which is where they might change the density of clouds or force rain. One of the arguments with cloud seeding is that you often do have flooding taking place shortly afterwards. Many people argue Dubai and stuff when they had these really bad floods. Some people blamed it on that. The argument is you can't prove it. And so that's what they'll always say. It's a big conspiracy if you try to argue the flooding is being caused by this. But people point out that it does closely coincide with it. The counter argument to that is they do it often and it doesn't always have that effect.
So the states, I can go back to where I can list them all off. From Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Idaho, Iowa, Kentucky, Maine, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming.
And some states actually do cloud seeding is a fairly regular thing, which is also not widely talked about. It is widely practiced.
There's a lot of different bills here, and they each do different things. The one that's making the biggest headlines right now is what's going on in Florida. They're trying to impose a penalty on anyone who alters the weather. They would charge them with a misdemeanor and a $100,000 fine. So that's something that's going on.
Can I say Josh is altering the weather? And
it becomes a witch hunt,
what
right?
happens if I'm like doing a rain dance in my backyard? Do I get fined?
If you belong to a Native American tribe and you perform a 16-day vigil, rain dance, perhaps you would have to pay a fine. The Seminole are probably not happy about this. They have a lot of land and casinos in Florida, so I don't know.
This is where it gets complicated.
But we do know that you can spray things into the atmosphere and you can induce rain or you can affect the climate. There was an example of this in 1815. Mount Tambora erupted. This is an interesting story. It triggered the year without a summer. It was the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded human history. They said there was anywhere between 8 to 10 cubic miles of rock forward into the sky, and it reduced the temperature of the Earth by about 1 degree, and it led to record cold temperatures in Europe. I think it was the coldest recorded from the 1770s to 2000. So people have seen that as an inspiration. Hey, we can actually affect our ability to tackle climate change. We can improve ourselves here if we put a casing over the Earth.
It rained ash too, I imagine.
Yes, it did, and it disrupted crops, and many people died. But they see the pluses of that, meaning if we really do have this climate change crisis, we should be able to do climate engineering and fix the problem ourselves.
Oh, I see.
But what's drawing a lot of criticism here is that in the tweet that RFK Jr. gave, he was talking about toxins and other things that are that are being seeded or brought out from these planes. And that is a big conspiracy that some people have, that that radioactive material is being dumped on them, or aluminum, I've heard, or toxic substances.
Silver, not
nitrate.
oxide, but silver something.
Yeah, they list a bunch of other things, and they do tests after it, and they see the streaks in the sky, and they wonder what it could be. So there is a movement of people who want to ban it for that reason. But these reasons I don't really know why these states are making this push. It's mostly Republican legislators have introduced this legislation. I don't know. Bill Gates, Sam Altman, there's an Israeli company. There's a lot of billionaires involved with trying to change the weather on Earth. Maybe they're against that. But I couldn't really find a real reason for the opposition, except that there's concern over if it is effective and we can stop, climate change, or we can reduce the temperature of the Earth. We don't know the unintended consequences, like Josh was talking about with those rain.
The big argument is that if they base their calculations on the idea of basically replicating a volcanic eruption and blocking out part of the sun, there were even not active programs but recommendations, including at the World Economic Forum, of creating basically a giant plastic bag in space that would effectively block some sunlight from reaching the Earth. The question is, well, do you believe in climate change or not? If you do, maybe it is a way to prevent more sun rays from hitting the Earth. If you don't, then you're effectively reducing sunlight based on false science. And that's where the debate is. The other problem is you miscalculate it, you could cause a disaster.
Major destruction.
Or if you experiment with it and there's
you could
no
have another year
regulations
without
on
a
it.
summer.
Or even longer than a year.
Yeah.
Some of the
Well, and it
clouds-
can be used by adversaries
but
too,
it
right?
should- we should note here that this stuff is extremely expensive.
Well, no, the Bill Gates one was not expensive.
It wasn't that
The
expensive,
stratosphere one was relatively
But if you're talking
cheap.
about Earth and covering Earth and something like that, that's very expensive. I mean, the stuff that the UAE was doing, it's like per trip, it was like $10 million or something like that. It's very expensive to do this stuff. It would be trillions to encase the whole Earth and to do the calcium drops.
Yeah, well, a few countries do it regularly. China does it very often, where they seed their clouds and cause rain. You know, it was famous during the Beijing Olympics. They did that to reduce the smog. But the problem too is you start damaging the clouds. You start upsetting the natural cycles of the Earth. And the other argument is you can irreparably damage the environment by messing with it in this way. And that's one of the big, aside from the suspicions, which I believe you were mentioning, some people do have, that they're spraying toxic chemicals to intentionally make us ill.
And it seems like RFK Jr. might believe that too.
Which who knows? I mean, we're not that far yet in the public debate, at least. Well, maybe we are now. But the big argument is we're messing with nature. You're messing with the environment, and who knows what you can cause by doing it.
All right. On that note, I will mention that if you happen to live in the state of Florida, as Josh so eloquently put it, nobody will be damaging the clouds up in Florida anymore. That's such a weird thing to say. A cloud is just some water. I mean, there's no damage to clouds. But I mean, I know what you're saying, nature in general, but you can't really damage a
Stand
cloud.
your ground law.
Yeah, exactly. No one will be damaging our precious clouds. All right, I know exactly what you're thinking. That was a great clip you just watched. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to follow and also check out either these videos or maybe they're on this side. I don't know which side they're on. But we set it up so these are the videos that YouTube is suggesting to you as the best ones that you'll probably like the most. So check them out, this side,